JBN, we keep you informed. Two students, including a 13-year-old, shot dead in St. James. Two students were shot and killed by unknown assailants in the often volatile community of Paradise in Norwood, St. James on Sunday night. The deceased have been identified as Hartrust NTA student, 20-year-old Fitzgerald Rodman, also called Flip, of Bottom Road, Norwood, and a 13-year-old Anchovy High School student, Jamie Anderson, of Peace View, Albion, both in St. James. Reports are that about 8:04 p.m., two men pounced upon Rodman and Anderson and opened fire, hitting them both. The two injured persons were taken to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where they were later pronounced dead. The St. James police are investigating the incident. Teen charged for murdering man at home. A teen is to face the courts for the Sunday, May 19 shooting death of 38-year-old Ron Roberts, otherwise called Pops, of Benedict's Heights in Harborview, Kingston 17. He is 19-year-old Tyrell Thompson, otherwise called Bobby, a laborer of Benedict's Heights. Police reports are that about 9 a.m. gunmen went to Roberts' home and opened fire, hitting him several times. The police were summoned and he was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Following investigations, Thompson was arrested and placed on an identification parade where he was pointed out. He was subsequently charged with murder. His court date will be announced soon. Haulage contractor charged with car theft. A man who was being identified as a haulage contractor was charged with larceny of motor vehicle and conspiracy to larceny of motor vehicle on Friday, December 20. He has been identified as 36-year-old Andre Cohen of 7 East, Greater Portmore, St. Catherine. The charges stem from the theft of the complainant's motor vehicle in Eltham Park, Spanish Town, in the parish on Wednesday, December 18. Reports are that about 2:14 a.m. the accused and two men stole the car from the complainant's yard. An alarm was raised and citizens intercepted the motor vehicle and apprehended Cohen. The other men escaped. The accused was later handed over to the police and was subsequently charged. His court date is to be announced soon. Woman dead in St. Anne accident. A woman is dead and a man injured following a motor vehicle collision on the Salem Main Road in Runaway Bay, St. Anne on Sunday. That is 45-year-old Sophia Campbell of an address in England. Police reports are that about 11:25 p.m. Campbell was driving a Nissan AD wagon from St. Anne's Bay to Runaway Bay with a passenger aboard. It is alleged that on reaching a section of the roadway, Campbell swerved into the path of an international motor truck traveling in the opposite direction. The police said both Campbell and the passenger sustained injuries and were taken to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead. The passenger remains in hospital. Westmoreland man charged for teacher's death. A man has been charged with murder following a shooting incident on the Carowena Main Road in Westmoreland on Friday, November 29, which resulted in the death of 27-year-old Adrian Cope, otherwise called Teacher. Charges 23-year-old Akeem Reed of Logwood District, also in the parish. Police reports are that about 6:55 a.m., residents heard explosions and called for help. On the arrival, Cope of Food Farm District, Petersfield, was seen with gunshot wounds. He was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Gun and ammo seized in St. James. Members of the security forces are reporting the siege of several items in Flanker, St. James yesterday. According to the police's communication unit, 1 Uzi submachine gun, 59 rounds of ammunition, 5 magazines, 2 registration plates and a ballistic vest were seized in the parish. The police said no arrests have been made in relation to the seizure. Investigations continue. Holness plans to go big on housing solutions next year. The incremental way of building out the country's infrastructure, including the housing sector, must change to reflect Jamaica's push towards equity, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has said, adding that the administration he leads will be going big on housing solutions starting in 2020. He was addressing the issue of informal housing at a Housing Agency of Jamaica HAJ title handover ceremony in Greater Portmore, St. Catherine last Wednesday, where approximately 70 homeowners received certificates of ownership after a 25-year wait. Holness said he has been listening to concerns, including those from the leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, relating to solving one of the country's most chronic social problems. We know that every year we have a deficit of 15,000 new housing solutions. The leader of the opposition has been raising concern and making suggestions about how to treat with squatting. and I've listened very carefully to what he said, the Prime Minister said. But the informal settlement and illegal occupation of land is not merely that Jamaicans don't want to follow the law. It is not that we are undisciplined and just ignorant in ourselves. It's not the case. But there's a genuine need for affordable housing solutions. And if people can't get housing, they find their own means of survival, Holness said. Holness argued that the matter is not just that the people cannot get land or that the system of land distribution is unfair and is skewed towards the elites. He said as a nation, successive governments have not invested enough in an effectively operated housing market. If we had the market that could provide solutions for every income level of persons, then there would be no need for someone to say, you know what, let me go and occupy that piece of land because I don't see anyone using it, said Holness. He said that the practice has to end, noting that land settlement within itself is a strategy, as are regularization and greater access to land, which he stated are decent strategies. But the real solution, according to the Prime Minister, is to empower the government's housing arms, the National Housing Trust, NHT, and the HAJ, to build more solutions that are affordable for all income brackets of Jamaicans. Holness added that more creative methods of financing for the sector are needed to increase the affordable housing stock. Banking ransom for SOE, PMP to leverage support for trade-off against exorbitant fees. The fate of the ongoing states of emergency SOEs, the government's main crime-fighting tool, appears to rest squarely with whether the Andrew Holness administration throws its support behind the banking bill of the opposition People's National Party PMP when the House of Representatives debated and voted on the Fitz-Jackson piloted private members bill in February. It was rejected 30-29 as the whip was applied to government MPs, forcing them to vote along strict party lines rather than on conscience. Jackson's bill seeks to prevent deposit-taking institutions, such as commercial banks, from charging customers arbitrary and exorbitant fees. At the time of his defeat, Jackson warned, "It's not over, it's not over." He followed up with a full-page advertisement showing all government MPs who voted against the bill. It is understood that Jackson, the opposition spokesman on national security and the chairman of the PMP, has been under pressure from ordinary Jamaicans, including those who make up the base of the PMP, who will be stepping up his advocacy in a bid to force the Prime Minister to allow a conscience vote on the matter. He is prepared to make another attempt at it this time. The SOEs, which the PMP has insisted, have not worked, since both murders and shootings are up this year when compared to last year are on the table. It could be nothing for nothing going forward, said a senior party representative who requested anonymity. According to information received, Jackson, who is also a member of Parliament for St. Catherine South, is actively raising funds from small businesses and individuals to launch a sustained media campaign against what he believes are unjust banking fees and the unwillingness of the government to protect depositors. The MP is under pressure, the party is under pressure. People are asking, how come the opposition continues to willingly cooperate with the government to ensure the SOEs remain in force, yet gets nothing in return? We have supported the administration for nearly 2 years despite our misgivings, yet they applauded and beat their desk when they voted on a bill that would benefit tens of thousands of ordinary Jamaicans, a source said. The source acknowledged that the PMP withdrew its support from the SOEs that were enforced in St. James and the St. Catherine North Police Division last December, but noted that the party has cooperated with the government for all of 2019 that SOEs have been enforced. We are not anybody's lapdog. There must be some trade-off where the ordinary Jamaican can benefit by not having their money taken away by the arbitrary and dishonest application of banking fees. Something has to give. The banks must show that they actually care about people and not just mega profits. And the Holness administration must walk the talk and prove once and for all that it is not just about the big man, the source added. Efforts to reach Jackson for comment were unsuccessful. However, another source said that the PMP aimed to make banking fees part of its election campaign platform in the next general election due by 2021, and that Jamaicans will get a chance to show that Holness has not pulled the wool over their eyes with his fancy talk. Specifically, the PMP, according to persons with intimate knowledge of party discussions, will be fine-tuning a message that is centered around perceived injustice meted out to ordinary Jamaicans by the government. These include the treatment of small farmers on the Bernard Lodge lands and the eviction of vendors from the Constant Spring Market. We will let Jamaicans see clearly that this government is about giving them scraps while others flourish. We won't allow it to continue, senior party insider said. Jackson has publicly stated that if the Holness administration does not pass the banking bill, the PMP will do so within the first 90 days of taking over the reins of government. As of December 21, murders have risen 3.7% over the corresponding period in 2018, with 1,302 people slain. SOEs implemented in 7 of 19 police divisions have had mixed results, with murders showing year-on-year declines in Handover, Westmoreland, Clarendon, and St. Catherine North. However, murders have spiked in St. James, St. Catherine South, and St. Andrew South. Meanwhile, murders have ballooned in the metro parishes of Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Catherine, with 6 of 8 divisions recording increases. Kingston Central, the worst with 140% jump. Nationally, shootings are up in 13 of the 19 police divisions. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.